Thank you for your interest in the On-Farm Research Grant Program with Southern SARE. This PowerPoint presentation provides information on Southern SARE's on-farm research grants, a grant opportunity for ag researchers to work with farmers and ranchers on addressing sustainable ag solutions to traditional farm production and marketing issues. Topics we will cover in this presentation include an overview of the SARE program, basic information of on-farm research grants, details of the call for proposals, how a proposal is reviewed for funding, tips for writing a strong proposal, and submitting a proposal to SARE's online application system. So what is SARE? SARE stands for Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education. It is a USDA-funded grants program authorized in the 1985 Farm Bill. The program supports sustainable agriculture practices through research and education grants and educational resources. When it comes to sustainable agriculture, SARE focuses on what it calls the three pillars of sustainability: farmer profitability, environmental conservation, and community quality of life. All grants funded by SARE have an element of the three pillars incorporated into funded projects. SARE promotes sustainable agriculture practices mainly through its grant programs. SARE grants are research-driven, meaning that through a competitive proposal and review process, SARE provides funding for applicants to conduct research activities in sustainable agriculture principles. On-farm research grants are one of 5 grant programs offered by Southern SARE. The grant program focuses on sustainable agriculture practices and techniques to address a particular on-farm issue. The grant program is designed for researchers who work directly with farmers and ranchers in order to build that researcher-farmer relationship when collaborating on a research project to solve various agricultural challenges through sustainable agriculture methods. Eligible applicants include university researchers. These can be from 1862 or 1890 land-grant universities or researchers from institutions outside of the land-grant system, county agents, cooperative extension specialists, USDA and RCS researchers, NGOs, and non-traditional audiences such as community groups or ag consultants. Farmers are not eligible to apply for this grant. Applicants must collaborate with at least one farmer rancher or a farmer group on the project. This collaboration is intended to strengthen the researcher-farmer partnership. SARE grants support historically underserved farmers and ranchers, support working with diverse communities, and encourage collaborations with minority-serving institutions. The focus of the grant project is research-based and should be conducted on either the collaborating farmer's farm or on a research farm such as at a university. Only one proposal per applicant per grant cycle is allowed. If you have several good research ideas, pick the one you feel best fits SARE's goals of sustainability. The grant funds proposals up to $20,000 for a 2-year project. Grant funds are distributed through reimbursement, meaning that the researcher spends the funds to conduct the project up front and then submits invoices for reimbursement throughout the course of the grant project. The following table provides a list of the states in the southern region and the number of on-farm research grants and dollar amount funded for each state throughout SARE's history. This table provides you with a snapshot of where researchers have been most successful in submitting and being funded for grant projects. Why apply for an on-farm research grant? On-farm research grants afford many benefits to researchers interested in sustainable agriculture research. The following are just a few. On-farm research grants are referred to as mini-grants, given their small funding amount compared to other government grant programs. However, their small size provides opportunities for researchers to collect preliminary data or conduct sustainable agriculture research on a small scale and use that information to step into larger grant programs, either with SARE or with other institution government grants. On-farm research grants are ideal for early career professionals who may be new to the grant writing or research process. SARE grants introduce researchers to projects on a small scale, and the grant has a simple application process with no pre-proposal required. Many researchers revisit SARE after receiving an on-farm research grant. The grant provides a good funding outlet for research when limited grant options may be available. On-farm research grants emphasize relationship building with farmers, as the grant requires a researcher to collaborate with a farmer on the grant project. Such partnerships encourage researchers to get out of the lab and into the field to connect with audiences that most benefit from their research, as well as help farmers better understand sustainable agriculture practices through research methods by partnering them with experts knowledgeable in the grant research process. The grant program enables researchers to develop practical educational tools and resources through outreach to use in their programming. On-farm research grants are a good introduction to the SARE program and sustainable agriculture, given their simple research requirements in the call for proposals and their emphasis on an outreach plan. On-farm research grants help build research portfolios, especially in areas of sustainable agriculture. While we ask applicants to think about systems research, they are not required to demonstrate systems research principles. The application process is simple. Applicants are not asked to demonstrate findings in an intensive manner. The call for proposals mirrors the grant application process in the online system, and SARE only asks for annual and final reports as part of the reporting requirements of the grant project. The on-farm research grants may be small in funding amount, but their outreach impact is large. On-farm research grants provide opportunities for researchers to expand their reach of education and resources directly to farmers in their state or in the region through the grant's outreach activities. The first step in applying for an on-farm research grant is determining what your research project will be and whether or not it's a project that fits in with SARE. You can accomplish this in a number of ways. Visit SARE's projects database for funded projects to get a sense of what has already been funded by SARE, or to help identify any research gaps. The database covers all SARE regions, so it gives applicants a sense of what may have been funded in another region that they may want to test in the southern region for applicability. The projects database also provides information on what the research gaps are in projects that were funded and conducted, and the research questions that were raised as part of the results. Do your own research to determine if your idea has already been fully covered. If it's already been fully researched, SARE may not fund it. SARE looks at new, creative, innovative projects, as well as advancements or alternatives to what currently exists. Most importantly, look to ideas that benefit farmers and improve their farming operation. SARE provides focus areas in the call for proposals as a guide to demonstrate the types of sustainable ag topics that SARE funds. Be sure to review these focus areas as you explore your research topic. On-farm research grant calls for proposals are released each September. Selected proposals are awarded the following February at the winter Southern SARE Administrative Council meeting. The call for proposals can be downloaded directly from our website at southern.sare.org. The paper call is intended to be used as a guide when writing out a proposal. Everything you need to know in terms of what SARE requires in an on-farm research grant can be found in the call for proposals. The actual application process takes place on SARE's online application system called the SARE Grant Management System. The link to the online application is found within the call for proposals. SARE recommends you follow the guidelines in the paper call and then follow the directions in the online system when you are ready to apply. The call for proposals is divided into several sections: basic information, body of the proposal, outreach plan, budget, and signature sheet. Before beginning, we recommend that you make sure you meet the grant requirements, contact Southern SARE if you aren't sure your project fits in with SARE's program goals, determine the project's relevancy to sustainable agriculture, search SARE's projects database, or conduct a literature review to determine the level of research that's already been done, and think about how your project and the outcomes would benefit farmers. The basic information section of the call for proposals covers basic grant information. This includes the project title, the contact information of the principal investigator, the institutional administrative contact, the institutional financial contact, project cooperators, the type of institution, the state, the project start date, and the project end date. The project title is simply the title of your project. The contact information of the principal investigator or the project coordinator conducting the project is required. You must also include the role of the PI or the project coordinator in the project. The institution or organization that the PI or the project coordinator is associated with is considered the leading institution and will receive the grant funding if awarded. The institutional administrative contact is the person who handles grant contracts and has signature authority. The institutional financial contact is the person who submits invoices and answers questions regarding invoicing and payments. At least one farmer cooperator is required on the project. The PI may also list up to 6 additional cooperators involved in the project. A project cooperator is a person involved in research, project planning, data collection, outreach, or other aspects of the grant project. The additional cooperator can be another farmer, a cooperative extension agent, an NRCS specialist, a researcher, or an NGO representative. The type of institution applying for the grant can include an NGO, a government agency, an 1890 land grant institution, an 1862 land grant institution, or other institutions outside of the land grant system. The state indicated is the state where the project will be conducted. The project start date always begins on April 1st of the awarded year. This date is firm. The project end date is the end date from the start of the project. All grant projects are 2-year projects. So the end date for a project starting April 1st, 2022 would be March 31st, 2024. The body of the proposal provides details of your proposed research project. It includes the statement of the problem, the statement of proposed solution, approaches and methods, project relevance to sustainable agriculture, a diversity, equity, and inclusion statement, a timetable, and any cited literature. The statement of the problem discusses the purpose of your project. It states what is already known, what is not known, and why it's essential to find that out. The statement of the problem should indicate how addressing the problem is related to or affects sustainable agriculture. The statement of the proposed solution discusses the solution to the problem being addressed that you intend on testing in your proposed project. The statement of proposed solution may also include a few objectives or questions that explain what you plan to do to test your solution. We recommend no more than 2 to 3 objectives. The proposed solution should indicate how the results benefit farmers and allow them to apply what you learned to their own farming situations. Approaches and methods discusses how you will conduct your project. This is your scientific method. It includes how you will set up your experiment, what you will measure and how often, how you will measure it, and what you expect to find as a result. There must be a direct relationship between the approaches and methods and the project relevance to sustainable agriculture. Project relevance to sustainable agriculture must demonstrate how your project and the expected results contribute to agricultural sustainability. Make sure that your work, even though it is making a part of the system more sustainable, does not make another part of the system or the whole system less sustainable. The Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion statement asks whether the project supports historically underserved audiences, and if so, how. Your timetable outlines the sequence of activities you will take in your approaches and methods with target dates for task completion over the 2-year project period. Literature cited is a short list of published research that supports your proposed project and the justification as to why the research you are proposing is needed. The outreach plan is a required component of the on-farm research grants. The outreach plan ensures project results are shared with farmers, ag professionals, and others in the ag community, and promotes the widest possible benefits of sustainable ag practices. The outreach plan can include workshops, field days, on-farm demonstrations, virtual events, trainings, videos or webinars, publications, presentations, published journal articles, or other educational resources. Think outside the box when it comes to developing outreach materials to reach as many farmers as possible who would benefit from your results. Traditional outreach materials like extension bulletins are fine, but are hard to measure impact. Feel free to combine outreach resources like a bulletin and a training video or video series for maximum results. Be detailed on how your outreach plan will be implemented. Be sure to demonstrate how the outreach plan supports historically underserved farmers and ranchers or organizations and institutions that serve those audiences. The idea is to assist these audiences in sustainable ag farming and marketing efforts in situations where the resources, tools, services, education, and training to implement those methods may not be readily accessible or are non-existent. Budget covers the cost of your project. A budget checklist is attached to the end of the call for proposals and covers allowable items. Those items include labor, travel, materials and supplies, outreach, publication printing, and miscellaneous expenses. Be mindful of items that are not allowable in on-farm research grants. Any non-allowable item listed in your proposal could result in it being rejected. Each budget item must be itemized, and a justification is required as to why the item is necessary for completing the project. Specify any travel that is required to conduct research, data analysis, or outreach efforts. SARE does not require matching funds on any of its grant programs. The following budget items are allowed in an on-farm research grant: materials and supplies needed for the project, sampling and data analysis, renting of equipment, travel related to the project, hiring labor needed to conduct and complete the project within the proposed timetable, expenses related to the outreach plan, and refreshments at events and activities related to the project. Materials and supplies must remain within the scope of the project and be a reasonable request relative to the research being conducted. An example would be the amount of seed needed relative to the size of the research plots. The sampling and data analysis can be in the field or in the lab. The renting of equipment must not extend beyond the project's timetable. Travel related to the project can include lodging, mileage, and meals. Hiring labor can include the hiring of the farmer or rancher beyond the normal farming duties related to the project, as well as the salary of the PI to conduct the work. Required farmer cooperators are expected to be compensated. Non-allowable budget items include starting or expanding a farm, NGO, community organization, or business. Providing any kind of financial support related to the operation of such businesses is not allowed. Providing support of any kind of operational expenses related to a farm, NGO, community organization, or business is not allowed. Funding for capital investments or permanent improvements to a farm, NGO, community organization, or business is a non-allowable cost. This can include permanent equipment, greenhouses, high tunnels, buildings, permanent fencing or irrigation system, the purchase of livestock or beehives, and the planting of trees and orchards. Generally, items $5,000 or more are considered equipment and not allowable for purchase. Any item that has a permanent use beyond the life of the grant project is generally not allowed. Justification is required for any item that fits this category. Breakfast, lunches, and other full meals for the outreach plan, educational event, or program is not allowed, as well as the testing of commercial products or patented products. Tuition is also a non-allowable cost. USDA allows for the recovery of indirect costs. Indirect costs are limited to 10% of total direct costs. If your institution's official negotiated indirect cost rate is less than 10%, you must claim your institution's indirect cost rate. You cannot exceed 10% of the total direct costs, even if your institution's indirect cost rate is greater than 10%. If your institution or organization does not have a federally negotiated indirect rate agreement, you may include indirect costs as a line item in your budget at a maximum rate of 10% modified total direct costs. Information about indirect costs can be found in the call for proposals as well as the budget narrative checklist. The final piece of your proposal is the signature sheet. If you are funded, the signature sheet is required to execute your grant award. The signature sheet must be signed by the principal investigator and the organizational administrative representative. Applicants can upload the signature sheet along with their application, or they may send it as an email attachment after the proposal submission deadline passes. Details regarding submitting the signature sheet can be found in the online application system. On-farm research grants are competitive, and that's more of a function of our budget than a lack of high-quality proposals. We receive more proposals than we can fund in any given year. All of our grants are reviewed for funding, including the on-farm research grants. Review is a two-step process. Once the grant deadline closes, proposals are assigned to outside technical reviewers. Outside technical reviewers are generally faculty and extension specialists from academia and USDA researchers with a broad knowledge of sustainable ag practices. They are assigned to proposals based on their area of expertise. Technical reviewers focus on the technical and scientific aspects of the proposals, the project budget, and how well the proposal fits in with SARE's goals of sustainability. Once the technical reviewers have scored and commented on proposals, the On-Farm Research Grant Committee of the Southern SARE Administrative Council reviews the high-scoring projects. Selected proposals are presented to and voted on by the full Southern SARE Administrative Council during the Winter Administrative Council meeting. Applicants are notified via email of the status of their application. If awarded, applicants receive further correspondence. Applicants who are not selected for funding receive copies of the reviewer comments so that they may strengthen their proposal if they wish to reapply the following year. SARE encourages high-quality proposals to be competitive. While there are good proposals that are not funded, there are also many proposals that are not funded due to weak points in the proposal. These are some reasons that may cause a proposal to ultimately be rejected. Proposals may have strong methods, but the project does not pertain to or contribute to sustainable agriculture. The proposal does not make a strong case for sustainable agriculture and does not demonstrate how the proposed topic will benefit farmers interested in sustainable farming practices. Research topics don't fit SARE's mission and vision of sustainability or address the three pillars: profit, places, people. A lot of resources may already exist on a proposed topic, or the applicant doesn't indicate what's new about the project. The topic is not new or innovative. Knowledge of the proposed topic is already well understood, well known, or well researched, and may not necessarily need to be funded by SARE. Conventional research is masked as sustainable agriculture. That goes along with the first point, in that the applicant does not make a strong case for sustainable agriculture or show how the agricultural practice is more sustainable than traditional farming methods. Budgets are not realistic to the approaches and methods. Examples include asking for items in the budget that are not part of the methodology, leaving out budget items that are part of the approaches and methods, or asking for items that don't align with the research methods. The methodology is poorly written. It leaves out key information, it's not clearly explained, or the research approach doesn't align with objectives. The approaches and methods is not well detailed, and the applicant is not clear on what is being tested, how it will be tested, how the data will be collected, and how conclusions will be drawn on the results. Applicants ask for things that we cannot fund. Asking for non-allowable items in the budget may result in your proposal being rejected. The outreach plan lacks detail in its implementation and how the tool or resource being developed will benefit farmers. Focusing on avoiding these points will help strengthen your proposal. Southern SARE on-farm research grants are competitive. Each year, we receive more proposals than we can fund. Roughly, we fund 1/3 of the number of proposals submitted. Following directions and submitting a strongly written proposal increases the chances of being funded. Here are some tips for writing a strong proposal. Follow the directions in the call for proposals. Everything you need to know about what is required to submit a grant proposal can be found in the call. Any information that is omitted may result in your proposal being rejected. Make sure your proposed project is relevant to sustainable agriculture and promotes the implementation or adoption of practices that are more sustainable than the problem that is being addressed. Make sure that your proposal paints a clear path from the addressed problem to expected outcomes. Don't forget your required farmer collaborator. If possible, include collaborations or partnerships with other farmers, extension agents, researchers, NRCS specialists, or others in the ag community in your proposed project. Including collaborations helps strengthen your proposal. Be clear on your statement of the problem, indicating what the problem is, why a solution to the problem needs to be found, and why that's important for the farming community. Make sure your approaches and methods are detailed and describe sound research methods. Discuss your idea with others and ask others to review your proposal before submitting it. Demonstrate your knowledge of the known literature in the area of your proposed research. This shows the reviewers that you are familiar with what already exists and understand the research gaps in the literature that need to be addressed. Don't wait until the last minute to submit your proposal to the online system. The deadline is firm. Don't let technological glitches, poor internet service, online application navigation troubles, or other issues prevent you from submitting your proposal and being considered. Make sure you meet the grant requirement guidelines. Remember, farmers are not eligible for on-farm research grants. Remember to only ask for budget items that are allowable. Any non-allowable budget items could cause your proposal to be rejected. Your budget should be realistic and align with your approaches and methods. Don't ask for budget items that are not part of your research methods. Don't leave out budget items that are part of your research methods. Make sure you have a strong outreach plan. Remember that your research project is intended to benefit farmers, fellow colleagues, and others in the ag community. Lastly, don't be afraid to ask questions. Does your idea fit in with SARE's goals? Do you have questions about the budget? Is there something in the call that you don't understand? You are encouraged to contact us prior to submitting your proposal. All SARE grant proposals, including the on-farm research grant, are submitted through the online application system called the SARE Grant Management System. When you are ready to submit your proposal online, cut and paste the URL from the call for proposals into your web browser. If you already have an account, log in with your username or email address and password. If you don't have an account, you'll need to create one. If you need help, you can create or reset your password following the instructions in the Help section. Once logged in, click on the Southern region and find the open Southern SARE On-Farm Research Grant information. Note the application date deadline. Click on Begin a New Proposal to begin your grant application. Clicking on the Begin a New Proposal button takes you to the Manage Grant Applications Overview page. Fill out the following sections: the project title, the project description, and the principal investigator information. This section is where you will also click on each proposal section and fill out the required information. Note the red asterisks throughout the application as you are filling it out. These denote required information. You will not be able to submit your proposal without satisfying all application requirements. The Basic Information page corresponds with the Basic Information section in the Call for Proposals. Click Edit Answers to answer each question. Be sure to save your answers. Red asterisks turn to green check marks when each question is properly completed. Other functions in the online submission system to be aware of include the View Draft button, which opens up a new window of your draft proposal, the Proposal Overview button, which takes you back to the Manage Grant Applications Overview page, and the Next Section button, which takes you to the next section of the application. The body of the proposal section includes background information, tips, and instructions. The information in the Body of Proposal section aligns with the information in the Call for Proposals. Click the Edit Answer button to answer each question. Be sure to save your responses. The Add Media button allows PIs to upload photos, graphs, tables, and figures. The Outreach Plan is a required component of the on-farm research grants. Make sure your outreach plan is detailed and includes information on how the tool or resource used in the outreach plan will be effective in sharing results of the project with farmers and fellow colleagues. Click on the Edit Answer button to provide information on your outreach plan. Be sure to save your entry. The Budget section lists allowable and non-allowable expenses. Remember to include only allowable expenses in your budget. Listing non-allowable expenses could result in your proposal being rejected. Refer to the Proposed Budget Narrative Checklist in the Call for Proposals for information on allowable expenses. To create your budget, click on the Edit Answer button. Select from the drop-down list to select each budget category. Provide an item description and provide details and justification of your budget item. Add the amount in whole dollars only. Click Add Another Budget Item to add another item to your budget. Make sure to click Save to save your responses once you are completed with your budget items. 3 tips when entering your budget. Only list allowable budget items. Be sure to itemize your budget expenses and justify why you need the item for your project. Provide a balanced list of budgeted categories so that your budget is not heavily skewed to one particular category over the others. A signature sheet is required to accompany the submitted proposal. Applicants may sign, scan, and upload their signature sheet with their proposal, or they may email it after the submission deadline. When you are ready to submit your proposal, click on the Proposal Overview button to return to the Managed Grant Applications Overview page. Be sure that green check marks are designated for each proposal section. If your proposal is complete, a Submit Proposal button will appear under the Proposal section. Click this button to submit your proposal. You may unsubmit and make edits to your proposal at any time prior to the grant deadline, but be sure to click on Submit Proposal again once you are completed, or your application will not be submitted. If there is no Submit Proposal button present, one of 2 things is happening. Required information is missing, or the deadline to submit your proposal has passed. If you are funded, the reporting requirements of your grant will also be managed through this system at projects.sare.org. The call for proposals for the on-farm research grants opened in September and can be found on our website at southern.sare.org. Feel free to reach out with any questions you may have. The Southern SARE On-Farm Research Grant Manager, Candace Pollock-Moore, can be reached at cpollock@uga.edu or by calling 770-412-4786.